Welcome back to the School for Writers podcast. On today's episode, we have such a soul-fulfilling, beautifully inspiring interview with Octavia Raheem. Today, we're going to talk about two things that matter a lot to me, and you're going to hear me talking about a lot in my life, and that is resting and writing, and how they're interconnected and how important they are for each other.
My mom was very clear with me in teaching me the history and legacy of Black folks in America, how it was illegal to teach us to read and write. And for whatever reason, now I'm like, wow, that is a heavy conversation to have with a 4-year-old, yet it was defining, right? And from the start, I took it very serious. I was like, this is legacy work. I probably didn't know the word legacy, probably couldn't spell the word legacy. But so my mom helped me understand from a very early age, like your great grandmother, she was denied the opportunity to read and to write. And my mom was also, she read to us every day. No matter, she was a single mother, no matter what was happening in her life, she always read to us. We always read to her. She'd sit sometimes and look like, now I realize she was probably asleep. She'd press the little tape recorder and have us read something or tell a story to the tape recorder and then play it back. And she'd make a big deal about, listen how you sound. Do you hear your voice? And so my love for writing really was born from my love for reading. And those loves were born from my understanding that reading and writing are practices of liberation for my people. The way I exercised voice, though, from a very early age was through writing, through like observing the world and writing. When you come from any group that's been marginalized, part of what's being marginalized is our voice and our story. And part of creating visibility and moving ourselves to the the center is reclaiming our voice and reclaiming our story and telling it, right? Writing, or like any art form, is a path to immortality as I see it, right? Right. Like I think about, I'm still reading Toni Morrison. She's very much alive, right? I'm still reading Lucille Clifton, and she's alive in that way. And then there are so many that will continue to be reading and returning to their words, and thus their spirit really continues to expand like through eternity. Yoga, the question you started with is, who are you? It's the question you show up to yoga to answer, right? Or to get more questions around, to be an inquiry around. And my yoga practice and the practices I started engaging beyond asana, right? Beyond the poses you do and the things that are, they look a certain way. But when I got into the practice of meditation and these practices where you're just like sitting with yourself, where you can't, there's nothing to avoid, so you start to notice the conditioning, the layers, the concrete. At some point you get really aware also that, oh, those aren't who I am. Oh, look at that. That thing is still in there, so yoga was a pathway to remembrance after, like I did the straight and narrow path. I did all the things that I thought were right. And I also was like, just not happy. I was teaching school. I was like, this is such noble work. It deeply matters. I care about my community. And there was a point where I was like, but this isn't my path forward. What is an artist? What's your definition of that? And so part of me was trapped in, well, I don't know. Do I meet that definition of it? Do I mean, like, okay, I'm a writer because I write. It's like, it's my soul companion. I love it. It loves me. So I'm a writer. This is it. And so when I say I'm a devotee of rest, the way I think about and define rest is between one thing and another, there's always a pause, right? There's a space. And most of us don't notice the space because we just blow through it. We don't notice that there's a pause between the inhale and the exhale because we're just like, whatever it is. We don't notice that when we get off this call, there's a space. We can let that space be and then move into the next thing. And so for me, rest is acknowledging the organic and natural pause that exists and honoring the moments when we need to extend that pause. That's how I define rest. And so I'm a devotee of the kind of presence that allows me to be aware of the pause and to be aware of myself enough to know when I am like, okay, that little one beat of a pause, that's what I needed. I needed that one beat between the breaths. Or to notice when I'm like, I need to shut all of this down and I need to really lay down and snuggle up.
Well, thank you again for coming on. This has been a beautiful, beautiful conversation about creativity and reading and writing and rest and our light as creatives. And I appreciate you so much for coming on.